The story begins as we see the legendary Hitman Sakamoto approaching a gang. The men are all scared seeing him, and they try to shoot him, but he easily deflects their bullets and cuts them down. Another group of gangsters arrive, but Sakamoto is able to dodge their bullets and he takes them all out. We learn he was feared by everyone, and there were also other hitmen that looked up to him. But one day, he meets a girl named AIA, and he instantly falls in love with her, so he decides to retire, and he starts a family with her, but he ends up putting on weight. We see Sakamoto in his store, where he watches a boy playing with his bow, but his arrow doesn't hit the target. So he bends over to pick it up, but the ink in his bag falls out, and it ends up staining a man's clothes. So he gets angry, and he threatens to kill the boy, but Sakamoto stops him and stabs him in the neck. But we learn it was just his imagination, and the man finds him creepy, so he decides to leave. The boy thanks Sakamoto for saving him, but a psychic hitman named Shin knows that Sakamoto thought about killing the man. Shin introduces himself, but Sakamoto thinks about attacking him, so he freaks out, telling Sakamoto to stop killing people in his mind, and he reminds him that they used to work together. He realizes that Sakamoto has started a family business, and he wants him to make his comeback, but Sakamoto tells him he's retired. Shin reminds him about his reputation, asking him why he threw it away, but he starts eating noodles, and Shin realizes that he has changed, because he used to eat nothing but field rations. Shin prepares to smoke, but Sakamoto suddenly cuts his cigarette, and he points him to a sign, which mentions that they aren't allowed to smoke there, so Shin realizes that he hasn't lost his touch. A man suddenly calls Sakamoto, saying he needs help, and Shin thinks Sakamoto is still working as a hitman. But the man just asks for help trimming a tree, and he's able to do it with incredible speed. Shin continues to watch him as he helps everyone in the town, so Shin realizes that he's not the person he used to be, telling him he looks ridiculous. Shin prepares to leave, as he notes that he hasn't seen Sakamoto in 5 years, but he still thinks he's amazing and he wants to work with him again. He receives a call from his boss, who asks him if he was able to change Sakamoto's mind, but he tells him he couldn't do it, so his boss tells him to kill Sakamoto. Shin doesn't want to do it, but his boss reminds him that no one is allowed to leave the gang. The boss tells Shin to get the job done, or he will send someone else to do it, so Shin realizes that he doesn't have a choice. That evening, Shin thinks about Sakamoto, thinking he's about to meet his end, since the boss wants him dead. Shin knows that other hitmen will try to kill Sakamoto if he doesn't do his job, and he notes that if his idol needs to die, he should be the one to do it. The next day, Shin visits Sakamoto, telling him he needs to leave the town, but he suddenly pulls out his gun, and he tries to shoot him. But Sakamoto spits out a candy, and it collides with the bullet, causing Shin to miss. Sakamoto suddenly disappears, and Shin looks around, wondering why he can't read his mind. We see Sakamoto hiding, and he launches another candy at Shin, who tries to shoot him again. But Sakamoto throws a cream puff at his head, and he appears behind him, kicking him with tremendous force. As Shin falls to the ground, he wonders what he was thinking when he thought he could kill his idol. When Shin wakes up, he sees Sakamoto's family, and they invite him to have dinner with them, but he's confused, as he wonders why they're so nice to him. He thinks the food is poisoned, but when he eats it, he realizes that it tastes amazing, and AIA thinks he's just like Sakamoto. He notes that he has never felt this way before, and he realizes that Sakamoto decided to quit because he wants to protect his family. After that, Shin thanks Sakamoto for his hospitality, and he points to a sign, which tells Shin to come again. He reports to his boss, who calls him a disgrace because he couldn't kill Sakamoto. But he begs his boss to let Sakamoto live because he has a family now. But everyone laughs at Shin, as the boss reminds him that Sakamoto must die because he abandoned his responsibilities. Shin offers to die in Sakamoto's place, and the boss accepts his offer, saying he won't kill Sakamoto. But Shin knows that the boss is lying, and he points his gun at him, so the boss orders his men to attack, and they start shooting Shin. We see Sakamoto listening in, and he realizes that Shin is in danger, so he opens his secret armory as he prepares to join the fight. Shin takes cover, and he starts shooting the gangsters, but a man gets behind him. But he realizes that Shin is gone, and he ends up getting taken out instead. Another man aims a rocket launcher at Shin, who manages to read his mind, so he jumps away, as the gangsters realize that he's using his psychic abilities to predict their movements. The boss knows that he can only read minds at close range, so they decide to keep their distance. Shin continues to fight for his life, but he realizes that he's running out of ammo, and a bullet hits his leg, so he falls to his knees. The gangsters prepare to finish him off, and he thinks it's all over for him, but Sakamoto suddenly appears to save him. The boss orders everyone to kill him, but he uses his chopsticks to stop their bullets, and he starts beating them up. The gangsters open fire, but he easily deflects their bullets and stabs them with his pens. He rushes forward, and he breaks a man's gun with his bare hands before knocking him out, and the boss realizes he's in trouble.
I'm in danger!
So he tells his bodyguards that they need to shoot Sakamoto together, but he quickly closes the distance, and he cuts the boss's gun, and he finishes them off. Shin wonders how Sakamoto knew he was there, so he reveals that he planted a bug in his gun, and Shin realizes that nothing gets past him. He mentions that he needs to leave the town, but Sakamoto gives him an apron, telling him he will get 800 yen per hour working at the convenience store. After that, we see Shin working in the shop, and AIA sees him, telling him the apron looks good on him. He sees an old lady looking for an item, and he uses his powers to help her find it, as Sakamoto's daughter Hana realizes that he really is a psychic. The boy asks him if he's enjoying his shift, so he mentions that it's better than his last job, and the boy wonders what he used to do for a living. But Sakamoto threatens to kill him if he tells the truth, so he tells the boy he used to work as a cleaner, and he continues to serve the customers who enter the shop. The next day, Shin recalls the fight they had with the gangsters, telling Sakamoto he killed everyone with a single blow. But AIA becomes upset, asking him if he's working as a hitman again, so he explains that he didn't kill anyone, saying he made sure that his attacks weren't lethal. She reminds him about the family rule, and she threatens to divorce him if he breaks it. Shin asks him about it, but Sakamoto kills him in his mind again, and he tells Shin to keep his mouth shut. They head to Niakita Chinatown, where Sakamoto buys pork buns for his family because he wants them to enjoy eating it. But as they make their way back, a girl suddenly crashes into them, and Sakamoto realizes that his pork buns are ruined. A group of gangsters appear, and we learn that she was running away from them, but the girl named Lu tells them to bring it on. Shin tells Sakamoto they should leave, but he's depressed because he thinks Hana will cry if she sees the pork buns. The gangsters charge in, but Lu knocks them down as Shin realizes that she's using Tai Chi. They surround her, and she tries to fight back, but one of them restrains her, and they threaten her with a knife. The man prepares to stab her, but Sakamoto breaks his knife and knocks him out. Shin takes out the man restraining her, but the third man pulls out his gun, so she disarms him and beats him up. Another group of gangsters arrive, and they think Sakamoto and Shin are her friends. So they run away, as the gangsters try to shoot them, but they manage to escape. After that, the leader of the gangsters report to their boss, and he tells him what happened. But the boss becomes angry, reminding him that they killed everyone in Lu's clan just to track her down. A hitman named Bacho suddenly kills him, and he starts playing with the man's head, but his brother Sun-hee tells him he shouldn't play with dead bodies. The boss orders them to find Lu and take her key because they need it to rule the black market. Bacho asks him if they can kill anyone who gets in their way, so he tells them they can do whatever they want. We return to Lu, as she reveals that she's the daughter of a mafia family, and she explains that the gangsters want to take her key, so that they can use it to access her clan's hidden vault. Shin tells her to get rid of it, so that they will stop bothering her, but she refuses, as she reveals that her parents died protecting it, so she wants to defend it with her life. She doesn't want Shin and Sakamoto to get involved, so she bids them farewell, but Sakamoto asks her if she knows how to make pork buns. So she reveals that she knows how to make them, and he decides to help her, under the condition that she makes them for him. But Bacho suddenly kicks him away, and Sun-hee mentions that he doesn't like the way Bacho kills people. Shin wonders who they are, so Lu explains that they're twin hitmen, and they're known for charging a ridiculous amount, but they never miss their target. She adds that they're insane, because they enjoy killing people, and they even draw pictures of their victims' heads during their free time. Bacho realizes that they're famous, but Sun-hee thinks they should be ashamed, because hitmen shouldn't draw attention to themselves. Shin tries to punch him, but he stops the attack, asking Shin if he's mad, because they killed his friend. but he calls them idiots, saying only amateur hitmen don't know who Sakamoto is. Bacho suddenly appears behind Lu and prepares to kill her, but Sakamoto smashes him to the ground, causing it to collapse. He realizes Sakamoto has incredible strength, and he tells Lu to surrender the key, but she refuses, saying she will guard it with her life. But he mentions that her parents told him the same thing before he killed them. So she becomes angry, and she charges in, but Sakamoto pulls her back, and Shin tells her she's being reckless. He tries to kill her, but Sakamoto catches his blade, and she wonders why he's risking his life to help her. So Sakamoto recalls the moment when he gave AIA a present, but she realized he's covered in blood, so she knows that he killed people to buy it. She mentions that she doesn't want it, and she tells him they can't be together if he doesn't change his ways. She jumps off, and she's about to fall to her death, so he rushes to save her, and they crash into the ground, but she notes that she survived thanks to the snow. She knows that he would miss her if she dies, and she tells him that everyone's loved by someone, so he should stop killing people and focus on saving them instead. We return to the present, as Shin cries after he reads Sakamoto's mind, and he tells Shin they shouldn't kill people. The twins attack him, but he parries their attacks, and they realize that they need to work together to defeat him. So they decide to use their ultimate move, and they start attacking relentlessly, but he easily dodges their attacks. They can't believe it, because nobody has ever survived after they used their ultimate technique, and they decide to do it again, but Sakamoto suddenly knocks Bacho out. Sunhee charges in, but Sakamoto destroys his weapon, and Sunhee is surprised that he was able to break it, because it's extremely durable. He realizes that he can't defeat Sakamoto, so he decides to target Lu instead, but Shin throws him to the ground, and Sakamoto smashes him with a refrigerator. She asks them who they are, but Sakamoto tells her they just work at a convenience store, and she finds them amusing. We see the boss waiting for the key, as he wonders why the twins haven't returned, but Sakamoto arrives, and the boss realizes that he was able to defeat the twins. Lu threatens to kill him, so he begs for his life, and she beats him up since he killed her parents. Shin thinks he deserves another beating, but Sakamoto kills him in his mind again, telling him to stay out of it. Lu thinks she has done enough, saying her father told her she shouldn't kill people, and they use her key to open the vault. They realize it's full of treasures, but Shin notes that it contains strange items, and he reads a notebook, which mentions that it's full of the clan head's most treasured items. She wonders what her father left behind, and she sees a bottle of liquor with a note, which mentions that she should drink it when she's of age. So she decides to share it with everyone, and Sakamoto shows her the pork bun she ruined, but she tastes it and tells them that it's still good. After that, Sakamoto returns to his store, and Shin gives him an orange juice, but he's surprised to see Lu wearing an apron. She reveals that she will make pork buns while she works there, but he thinks she doesn't need to work because she already inherited her clan's treasures. But she calls him an idiot, saying she will never use her family heirlooms to pay for her daily needs, so they start to argue. But Sakamoto tells him to be quiet, and he mentions that he was moved by the reason why Sakamoto decided to stop killing. So he shows Shin the family rules, telling him to follow it, so he reads it, realizing the first rule is that they should never kill people. But we see a group watching them, and they know that Sakamoto has a huge bounty on his head. The next day, when Lu gets to the store, Shin yells at her for being late for work. He checks out their goods, but he sees a detergent in a refrigerator, and he asks her why she put it there. So she explains that it doesn't matter where they put the items, because the customers will find it anyway. He thinks she has never worked before, but she reveals that she used to help her father bury his victims, and he tells Sakamoto to fire her, because she's ruining the peaceful atmosphere. But he tells Shin to stop being mean to her, and he starts giving them orders, as they realize that he isn't acting like his usual self. The real Sakamoto joins them, so his friends wonder what's happening, but he completely ignores them. The imposter tries to stab him, but he dodges, so the man pulls out his gun. But Sakamoto threatens him with a cutter. He knows that the imposter is a hitman named Nagumo, and he realizes that Sakamoto hasn't lost his touch. Shin wonders why he wasn't able to read Nagumo's mind, but he laughs at Shin and Lu, because he was able to deceive them, so they hit him, and they ask Sakamoto about him. He mentions that he's only 18, but Sakamoto reveals that they used to work together, so he knows that Nagumo is 27. Shin and Lu beat him up for lying to them. but he mentions that Sakamoto has a 1 billion yen bounty on his head. Shin doesn't believe him, but he tells them the bounty was just posted the other day, so a few hitmen already know about it. A man suddenly arrives to deliver pizza, and he gives it to Sakamoto, but he turns out to be a hitman, and he threatens to kill Nagumo if they don't cooperate. But they ignore him, and Nagumo suddenly strangles him from behind, telling them he wasn't lying about the bounty. He prepares to kill the man, but Sakamoto stops him, so Nagumo realizes that he's now against killing people. He wonders if Sakamoto can stop the hitmen in his group, so everyone feels threatened, but he explains that he's just joking, saying they only kill other hitmen. Sakamoto wonders who wants him dead, but Nagumo explains that he doesn't know, telling him everyone has their eyes on him because he took down the gang that was after Lu. Nagumo leaves with the hitman, and Shin tries to follow him, but he suddenly disappears, as Shin wonders if he's on their side. We see a group of hitmen watching Sakamoto, and they think he looks pathetic, so they wonder why he has a bounty of 1 billion yen. But their leader tells them not to underestimate him, because he used to be in a notorious group known as the Order. He suddenly talks to them, saying he will make them suffer if they don't stop stalking him, and he destroys their camera. After that, Shin is worried that other hitmen will try to kill Sakamoto, who thinks they should keep a low profile, because they still don't know who their enemy is. But Hannah suddenly appears, and she mentions that she's ready for tomorrow, reminding him that they'll be watching Sugar Bunny together. So he becomes nervous, as he realizes that he forgot about his promise to her. They head to the amusement park, where AIA and Hannah enjoy the rides, but Sakamoto and his friends are worried, because they could be attacked at any time. Hannah mentions that the place is enormous, and she notes that their mascot looks cute. AIA tells everyone they will have fun together, but Sakamoto and Shin can't relax. Shin tells Lu they should protect him so that he can spend time with his family, but she wonders how they will find the hitmen around them since the place is so crowded. So Shin explains that he will use his powers to read everyone's minds, but he mentions that he needs to concentrate to do it. He tells Sakamoto that a hitman is approaching, and we see that he's disguised as a janitor. Lu distracts Hannah, while Sakamoto approaches the hitman, who tries to make his move, but he stabs him with his pen first, and his friends hide the man's body. They take him to a forest, where Shin mentions that Sakamoto avoided his vital organs, and he thinks it's amazing, because he knows that it's extremely difficult to pull off. Another hitman named Tatsu watches them from a distance, and he knows that Shin has psychic powers, so he wonders how he's supposed to reach Sakamoto. But he comes up with a plan, as he realizes that Shin won't be able to read anything if he just empties his mind. We see everyone riding a roller coaster, and Lu sees Tatsu, saying he looks suspicious, but Shin tells her he isn't thinking about anything. But he thinks about his cover being blown, so Shin realizes that he's a hitman. He tells Sakamoto he's in trouble, and as the ride speeds up, Tatsu tries to shoot him, but he uses his bulletproof glasses to deflect it. Shin removes his safety bar, and as the ride approaches a loop, he jumps off, and he disarms Tatsu, breaking his restraints. He jumps away with him, but Tatsu kicks Shin, who barely manages to survive the fall. He prepares to fight Tatsu, but he notes that he can't read his mind, and he realizes that the roller coaster is about to hit him. So he jumps into the air, but Tatsu throws knives at him, and he tries to dodge them, but his leg gets hit. He starts to feel strange, as he realizes that he was poisoned, and Tatsu tells him he's doomed, but he refuses to give up. Tatsu tells him he has the same eyes as Sakamoto, saying he knows that they both fear death, and he thinks it makes them weak, telling Shin he could have dodged the knives if he wasn't afraid to die. But he explains that Sakamoto fears death because he wants to protect his family, saying people fight harder when they're trying to defend something. Tatsu knows that Shin has been blinded by his poison, and the roller coaster is about to hit them again. So they jump up, but Shin lands on it, and he grabs onto Tatsu, trying to hit him, but he fights back, as Shin realizes he's in trouble. So he reads everyone's minds, and he realizes that Sakamoto is at the Sugar Bunny show, so he jumps off with Tatsu. They crash into the Sugar Bunny's tent, and one of the performers becomes upset because they interrupted the show. Tatsu threatens to kill him, but the Sugar Bunny interferes, and we learn that it's Shin, telling Tatsu he's ready for round 2. He thinks Shin doesn't stand a chance because he's still blind, but he manages to land a punch, and everyone thinks it's part of the show, so they start cheering for him. Tatsu attacks with his knives, but Shin counters with a devastating kick, and he wonders how Shin can see him. AIA talks to Sakamoto, but he keeps quiet, so she thinks he's enjoying the show, but we learn that he's giving Shin instructions while he's watching the fight. Tatsu is getting destroyed, and he wonders what's happening because Shin is reading his every move. He manages to cut the costume, but he realizes that Shin's eyes are closed, and Sakamoto tells him to end the fight. So he kicks Tatsu with all his might, knocking him down, as the host mentions that the Sugar Bunny just used his ultimate move. So everyone celebrates, and he's glad that he was able to protect Sakamoto. But that's where this video ends. Let me know if you'd like to see more of this series. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.